Welcome to the Mental Militia, uniting minds and freeing souls from the bonds of mental slavery and ruling class manipulation.
Hello, and welcome back to a journey into UCC Article 3. This is part 3, and I will be your pickle fucker for this evening. I was thinking I've been going crazy helping my clients rewrite their complaints because, as you saw in case 1, which was dismissed, the judge basically said in the final orders that the Title 18 causes of action are they don't have any private right to action. So what I did a bunch of research, and we replaced all those Title 18 causes of action on Case 2, Case 3, and Case 4, and then replaced all of that. And just in case anyone's wondering, obviously I go over this with my clients in great detail, and then my clients are the ones who put all this together and then file it. Okay, just to be clear, if there's ever any question about that, that's always the way it works. My clients are very well educated and highly trained as we go. We spend a lot of time answering questions and talking about things and giving a lot of examples. We spend, quite a bit of time on the phone. My clients are very carefully picked by me. I don't just work with anybody because I'm not going to hold anyone's dick, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware. I do more butt slaps, I think, more than anything. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it will be forever because I'm not an attorney at law. I am an attorney in fact, just to be clear. Now, you all should be getting into Pacer and looking up all this stuff because the new complaints are pretty cool. They're pretty much almost exactly the same word for word, with just the causes of action are changed, okay? With that said, we're going to get into something interesting here before we start part 3 of UCC Article 3. So after going through part 1 and part 2, I realized something. We now have enough information from part 1 and part 2 to break down one of these bad boys. And we're going to do that right now because you're going to see this thing looks so complicated and this thing looks so confusing. And you're going to see, we're going to go over this right now. Watch how simple this bad boy is. Okay. Here, check it out. So we have two parties, right? We have, on the bottom, we have Secretary of the Treasury and Treasurer of the United States. The signatures, well, they're not signatures, they're endorsements. We're going to get into that in a second. And then at the top, we have the Federal Reserve note, okay? So this is some sort of a contract going into the fact that there's a creditor and a debtor. Now, check this out. A lot of times when I talk a lot in a lot of my shows about UCC 9-307, right? Location of debtor. Look at the name of this. And then it says the United States is located in the District of Columbia. But look at the name of UCC 9-307. Location of debtor. The debtor in relationship to the contract of which is represented in this bad boy right here called the Federal Reserve note. So this debtor here and here, I guess, that's what they're talking about in UCC 9-307, which is fascinating, right? Now, if you look on here, this is some kind of unconditional promise to pay. They don't really give you exactly. I mean, it might even be that the $20 is the unconditional promise to pay. It's $20 of whatever in the future, whatever that is, right? Now, if you look, it has these serial numbers, right? So if you go online, it says that a bearer security cannot be registered. So what I'm thinking, I don't really know exactly how this all works, but if you look up what is a registered security. So it's securities whose ownership is registered with an issuing company or agent, which maintains a ledger with the details. Who maintains the ledger for the serial numbers on Federal Reserve notes? I'm not sure. Anyways, so there's some ledger that's somewhere involving these serial numbers. Okay, this one, you can see the serial number here. And they have it on both sides. They have it on the one side and the other side, and I checked before the video, and they are the same. I don't know why there's two sides. I guess, oh my God, my head has just exploded. I didn't even see this until just now. Check this out. I'm gonna turn this around, and hopefully you can hear me okay. I'll try to lean into it. So check it out. You have two sides. On this side, you have the United States of America, and then you have the signature of, I guess, a person who represents the United States of America, I suppose. And then on this side, damn it, I can't see. Sorry, I can't see very well. On this side, you have the Federal Reserve System of United States symbol. And then below that, you have another signature of Treasurer of the United States. So as far as I can tell from looking at this, it looks like it's one party here and one party here. And that's the contract. Pretty fascinating. Okay. Now, if you look, let's take a close look, and let's figure out what kind of endorsement was made on both sides of this promissory note. Okay, you tell me. I know you guys are going to know the answer by now. So here's the question. Are you seeing without recourse, which would make it a qualified endorsement? Are you seeing any restrictive endorsement language, such as for deposit only? Are you seeing any language that would state the payee? The answer is no. So it'd be what? A blank endorsement. This thing is payable to the bearer, right? This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Now, you might think that's a restrictive endorsement, but think about it. How would that be restrictive? It seems pretty much like unrestrictive. I don't really see how that statement would restrict anything. Maybe it could. I don't know. I don't necessarily see that as a restrictive endorsement necessarily. Now, we have some other symbols and stuff we can type into the internet and try to figure it out. Like we have on the bottom left, we have E1. What the hell is this website? This looks new. Serial number. Okay. Ooh, what is this? Oh, look what we found here. This is a new website. I was trying to figure all this out. Oh my Lord. BEP.gov currency, how money is made. What in the Lord do we have here? Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Now this could all be horseshit. Let's see. Ink and paper. Ooh, I'm going to read all of this. Offset printing. Steel plate printing. Ooh, look at this. Printing equipment, paper type, Federal Reserve indicators. Oh, this is it. This is what I was looking at. I see E1. Let's go back to me. E1. And on the upper right, E77. We also have this one here. It's larger. B2. So let's see if they say anything about that on here. Oh, it matches one of the 12 Federal Reserve banks. B. Oh, it's just like what they have on the back of the Social Security card. That first letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, or whatever it is, and it represents a bond number that goes to one of the Federal Reserve banking institutions, one of the 12 main banks. It appears according to uscurrency.gov, which that's a pretty good That's a pretty good source. I actually am pretty happy with that. We always want to check and make sure it is a government website. Let's go down to the bottom and just make sure. I mean, it looks, just very, very cursory glance, it looks okay. I could be wrong, but it's looking pretty good. So that one, see, it's showing you here on a, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. This is not an old website. I was trying to find all this information like a year ago and I couldn't find it. There's no way I missed this. There's just no way. Maybe I did, but. So look at this. Indicator, and it gives you the different banks. Look at that. Boom. And it also has this information here. Note, position, letter, and number. Okay, we have this information here. Okay. Wow, we have a background. We've got graphs. We've got everything. This is wild. Okay. Okay. Well, geez, this is better than I was even hoping to show you. This is fantastic. I will just continue to go down this page, and that way, if this page ever drops off the face of the earth, there's a video of it recorded that you can stop and look at this. You can pause this and look at this information. I'm just going to scroll down this a little bit. That way we have it on the video. The UAS, as you guys know, and some of the other stuff that I had in the free course is all gone. So now when I see stuff like this, I have a tendency to want to make a record of it on these videos for you guys. So there we go. Okay. So what do we have here? We have a bearer security, right? Because it's released with a blank endorsement, right? So how does negotiation work? Pop quiz, guys. How does negotiation work when the instrument is payable to the bearer, endorsed payable to the bearer, or it does not state a payee? Which this one is not endorsed payable to the bearer, but it does not state a payee, so it is default payable to the bearer. So how is this instrument negotiated? Do you know the answer to that one?
In the wake of the unimaginable, in the shadow of uncertainty, in the face of fear, it's time to rediscover.
We can live, we can love, we can hope, we can rise, we can be more,
Your hope.
We can dream, we can fly, we can change, we can ride, we can be more,
Your purpose.
We can live, we can love, we can hope, we can rise, we can be more,
Your passion.
We can dream, we can fly, we can change, we can ride, we can be more,
Your potential.
Take your name, show your mind. Raise your head, raise it high. Don't look back, reach inside. There is more to this life.
You.
Love, hope, rise, be more, Dream, fly, change, ride, be more.
Because no matter what we may face, nothing is stronger than the human spirit.
Your reference is UCC 3-201, negotiation. And here's your answer right here. Let's read it out loud together. If an instrument is payable to bearer, it may be negotiated by transfer of possession alone. Let's read that again. If an instrument is payable to bearer, it may be negotiated by transfer of possession alone. So when you get a loan and you have your mortgage and they sell it to the next guy and to the next guy and to the next guy, which they always do in the first 60 days or so like that, what's happening is that promissory note, which is endorsed payable to the bearer because it doesn't say to payee, is moved by possession alone from one bank to the next bank to the next bank, and then finally a bank puts the special/qualified endorsement on it that we're seeing on everything, the without recourse pay to the order of Bank of America, N.A. by sign, and then blah, 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 whatever. That's when they finally end negotiation of it as a bearer security. And I mean, here's a good question. This is a bearer security. Can I write? Can I handwrite? Am I not allowed to change the negotiation of this instrument? So let's review this. If an instrument contains contradictory terms, typewritten terms prevail over printed terms, handwritten terms prevail over both, and words prevail over numbers. So what's stopping anyone from handwriting a qualified or special endorsement on this instrument, which would basically stop this instrument from being payable to the bearer, and then this instrument would no longer be transferable by possession alone? Let's look that up online because now I'm curious. Can a registered security of which has been endorsed with a blank endorsement be given a special endorsement to end negotiability? I don't even know if we're going to get an answer on that. Let's try AI on that one and just see. I've been getting some good little nuggets that at least give me a good place to where I can go. I don't trust AI to give me answers. I trust AI to give me a little direction, basically, right? Can I put a special endorsement on a registered bearer security to end negotiation of the instrument? ? Oops, a little bit of misspelling there. Yeah, it says yes. Oof. So it says, yes, you can add a special endorsement to a registered bearer security to restrict its negotiability. A special endorsement is a signature and additional language that specifies the name of the person or entity to whom the security is being transferred. By adding a special endorsement, you can ensure that the security is only transferable to the specified person or entity, effectively ending negotiation of the instrument. Here's an example of a special endorsement. Pay to name of person or entity only. This type of endorsement is also known as restrictive endorsement because it restricts the security's transferability. I don't know that to be a fact, but to me, that makes sense. You could handwrite a special endorsement on this, which means if I handwrite a special endorsement on this instrument and I give it to the next person, if I say pay to the order of, Jim Jones, and I give it to Jim Jones, if Jim Jones gives it to anyone else, he can go to jail. Well, hold on. Let me think about that. Woo! Let me think about that for a moment. Oh my God, I'm crying here. No, wait. So, if Jim Jones got it, and then Jim Jones was the one who put a blank endorsement on it, I suppose that could probably work. So you ended negotiability with Jim Jones, and now Jim Jones endorsed the instrument with a blank endorsement, so Jim Jones put it back on as a bearer security. Would that work? I think that would work. We're way off the deep end here on this stuff, as I'm sure you're aware. So I don't have all the answers. It's an interesting question. So let's say it's payable to the bearer. I get it. I do a special endorsement. It goes just to that one guy, Jim Jones, and then Jim Jones puts a new endorsement on it when he becomes the holder. and then he does a blank endorsement, now would it be payable to the bearer again, and now could it float back through the society again? To me, that makes sense, and I would say that's probably correct. But this is a good point. Can you believe that a dumb fuck in a pickle suit is explaining to you what cash in your wallet that you've had since you were like 5 years old or 2 years old is how it fucking works, and you've never known, and not a single fucking person anywhere knows anything about this goddamn thing? Can you believe that one stupid fuck, retard, piece of shit in a pickle outfit in an apartment with a goddamn pickle on his fucking wall is telling you how this stuff works? How funny is that? Welcome to 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, it's too good. It's too good. Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about with that. Let me just make sure on my notes here. Yeah, I think we're all set. So good, let's get started on UCC Article 3, Part 3. Let's go ahead and get it poppin', oh yeah, get it poppin'. I just wanna get it poppin', yeah. Article 3, Article 3, Article 3, Article 3. Okay, we've already looked at this one before. We're going to look at it again. UCC Article 3, Section 301. Person entitled to enforce an instrument means 1, the holder of the instrument. 2, a non-holder in possession of the instrument who has the rights of a holder. Now, this is a lot of the stuff when you're getting into litigation, because American Express holds physically all of the negotiable instruments that have been produced on the account, or they've given them away or whatever. Somebody else is the holder, right? I'm not the holder, but I have the rights of a holder because I have called fraud to replace the blank endorsements with qualified and special endorsements, and I have stated my all caps name, the ens legis, as the payee on the endorsements. So that means that I'm the holder, or the all caps name, whatever one of us is the holder, right? So one of us is the person entitled to enforce the instrument, which is exactly what I say on my complaints. If you read the complaints, it says that myself and the ens legis is the person entitled to enforce all the instruments on the account, as well as the holder, I believe holder in due course, or holder of the instruments on the account, right? Another definition is a person not in possession of the instrument who is entitled to enforce the instrument. So we've got that one. 2 and 3 are very applicable for litigation and stuff like that. And then 1 is applicable for when they slide the documents across the table, or when your credit card company sends you a bill of exchange, or your phone company sends you a bill of exchange. That would be the first one. They're mailing you the instrument, and then when you pull the envelope out of your mailbox, you are accepting that by delivery, or accepting it for value just by having it in your possession, and then you become the holder. It's sort of like you're the holder, and then you endorse it, and then you tender it, which is an unconditional offer, and then they accept it by delivery, and then they become the holder, and then the whole cycle starts over again. So think of it like this. I'm not going to use a dry erase board on this, because the last time you couldn't really read it that well, and it's just kind of not really all that complicated and stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and pop me back into the video. So it's very simple. You can just draw this out. Holder, endorsement, or performance. Endorsement and performance, as far as I'm concerned, means the same thing. Endorsement, performance, or payment all mean the same thing. So we'll just say endorsement, but you can write holder, line, arrow, and then you can write INDORSEMENT, endorsement / performance / payment, arrow, and then tender, arrow, acceptance / delivery, arrow, acceptance / delivery, and then from there it would be a line that goes all the way back and points back to holder. Holder, endorsement, tender, acceptance. Holder, endorsement, tender, acceptance. Holder, endorsement, tender, acceptance. Anyways, let's get back into this. You see how simple it is? It's so complicated, but we have to simplify it, okay? Otherwise, we can't use it. So yes, all this information is true, and we have to learn it all. And I actually find almost everything in UCC 3 very applicable. But we need to figure out what's the most important things and how does it work and keep it simple. A person entitled to enforce the instrument even though the person is not the owner of the instrument or is in wrongful possession of the instrument. It's kind of like before when it was talking about how like when you have intent to endorse to a certain person but somehow it ends up somewhere else, whoever you intended to endorse it to is the person who it's actually endorsed to. I think that might have something to do with this, where it's like if it gets to like a wrong person but like no one knows, then like that wrong person can still like negotiate the instrument until someone says, whoa, hold on a second, that wasn't the intended endorsee or whatever, you know what I mean? So it probably has something to do with that, confusion involving endorsements and endorsees and all the good stuff, okay? So let's go back to the next one here. We have holder in due course. Holder in due course means the holder of an instrument if. So we have two terms here. Now, we have holder, and then we have holder under certain conditions. Holder under certain conditions is called holder in due course. We're here on this video to break this down painstakingly. Holder in due course means the holder of an instrument if there's other conditions associated with it, okay? The instrument, when issued or negotiated to the holder, does not bear such apparent evidence of forgery or alteration or is not otherwise so irregular or incomplete as to call into question its authenticity. So it's not fake or forged or horseshit. Simple. The holder took the instrument for value. This is where accepted for value comes from, right? Remember? We already looked at this before. In good faith. I think we looked at that one too. Honesty in fact. And the observance of reasonable commercial standards of fair dealing. Pretty simple. Number 3, without notice that the instrument is overdue or has been dishonored. How can an instrument be dishonored? A bank or other financial institution can choose to dishonor an instrument if the institution has a valid reason to do so, such as fraud, forgery, or insolvency of the person who originally gave the instrument to the drawer. This is kind of like what they're doing when they say they don't accept your payment. They're dishonoring the instrument. Now that's a litigation point because they say it's dishonored, and now what do you say when you litigate? You say it's not dishonored. That's what you're going to be fighting in court now. There's a controversy, you see? Oh, the bank says this is dishonored. Oh, no, it's not, and I'm going to prove it. You see? That's the litigation behind this. Without notice that the instrument is overdue or has been dishonored, or that there is an uncured default with respect to payment of another instrument issued as part of the same series. That's a little bit more advanced. I'm not totally sure what that would mean. Probably a series, so a series of payments. Or I don't know. That's probably more of like a banking type situation. Number 4, without notice that the instrument contains an unauthorized signature or has been altered. Okay, so signature's fucked up or fake or fraudulent. Okay. Without notice of any claim to the instrument described in 3-306. What is that? Claims to an instrument. So this is what I'm doing in all of my lawsuits. You saw the other part, rescission, that we were talking about, I think in video 1 or 2. This one we also have even more information on that. Someone claiming the instrument or its proceeds, including a claim to rescind a negotiation and to recover the instrument or its proceeds. That's what I'm doing in all my lawsuits. It tells you right in the goddamn law that you can do it. Now you got to fight it. It's just like anything else. I claim this house is mine, and Jim claims that the house is his. And they sue each other, and now what they're doing is the court is the referee to figure out who's right. Jim says it's his, Bob says it's his, which one is right? And if we can't figure it out, and we go through discovery and we go through all the stuff, then it's going to go all the way to a jury trial, and then the jury is going to be the one to figure out whose house is it. This is the exact, well, all litigation is the exact same process. They have possession of the instrument. They say it's theirs. I say, oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, my Lord. That's the farthest thing from the truth. I don't think any of these banks or any of these institutions have ever met a guy who they already think is crazy. And he's running around and he's suing people, spending money and spending all his days trying to acquire debt instruments. It's such a fucking clown show. I love it. It's so fun. I got to tell you guys, I am having an absolute blast, just so you know. Let's see. Notice of discharge of a party other than discharge in an insolvency proceeding is not a notice of defense under subsection A, but discharge is effective against a person who became a holder in due course with notice of the discharge, blah, blah, blah. I'm not too sure what this is. This has something to do with like relief and like litigation and figuring out. Not notice of a defense, like a defense in litigation, I suppose. Saying like, I'm the holder, and it's like, oh no, you can't use that as a defense because notice, I don't think it's terribly important right now. I don't want this video to become 5 hours long. We're going to skip over that one. Except to the extent a transfer or predecessor in interest has rights as a holder in due course, a person does not acquire rights of a holder in due course of an instrument taken by legal process or by purchase in an execution, bankruptcy, or creditor's sale or similar proceeding, by purchase as part of a bulk transaction, not an ordinary course of business of the transferor, or as the successor in interest to an estate or other organization. So it's just certain conditions where you don't have the rights of a holder in due course of an instrument. There's a few examples. Not all that terribly important for what we're trying to do. We're trying to just get more of a general understanding here. We're not trying to get into bankruptcy law and trust estate, liquidation, and we're not getting into all that right now, okay?
Every day, millions of people ask, what is Scientology? Here's an idea. What if you just take a look?
See for yourself.
What if you see for yourself
No one else can see.
who we are,
No one else.
what we believe,
See for yourself.
and what we stand for? Our doors are open
See for yourself.
to all people of all faiths in every corner of the world.
Just look inside. You will know it when you see with your own eyes.
So what is Scientology?
See for yourself.
Maybe it's time to look and decide for yourself.
The promise of performance that is the consideration for an instrument has been partially performed. The holder may assert rights as a holder in due course of the instrument only to the fraction of the amount payable under the instrument equal to the value of the partial performance divided by the... So if they've already partially performed, then the holder in due course can enforce to get the rest of the instrument paid or whatever, or to get payment on the remainder of the performance. Like if a contract is only partially done, then they can enforce the undone part of it, I guess, something like that. Okay? If the person entitled to enforce the instrument has only a security interest in the instrument, and 2, the person obligated to pay the instrument has a defense, claim in recoupment, or claim to the instrument that may be asserted against the person who granted the security interest, the person entitled to enforce the instrument may assert rights as a holder in due course only to the amount payable under the instrument, which... Let's see. Not too sure on this one. This one has to do with like defense and like the performance of something and what they can and can't have a defense for and what they can and can't enforce. I'm not totally sure on this one. I'm not going to sit here and try to dig through some of these too much. If it's a little bit too tough, I'm just going to talk about it a little bit and then just skip over it. Otherwise, the video is going to get too bogged down into minute details. Again, we're just trying to get a broad overview on a lot of this. The specifics you guys can do on your own. What's missing is the basic ground floor level of this stuff. That's what we need to develop, okay? Value and consideration. We already went to this one last time, or I think it was part 2. An instrument is issued or transferred for value if. So it's accepted for value if. See? The instrument is issued or transferred for the promise of performance to the extent the promise has been performed. The transferee acquires a security interest or other lien in the instrument other than a lien obtained by judicial proceeding. Acquires a security interest or other lien in the instrument. You know, it's fascinating reading some of this stuff because I've been thinking recently, and I may do this myself in my cases. What if you filed a UCC1 lien, not on the companies, but what if you filed the novation, you claimed all of the negotiable instruments on the account, and then you filed a UCC1 lien on all of those negotiable instruments? For example, what if you filed a lien on the original promissory note of your mortgage? Can you file I'm just so curious. Can you file a UCC1 financing statement? Phone number of filer, send acknowledgement to debtors exact. Whoa. I just had a realization. Whoa, my head. So if I file this and you send it to them and they never rebut it, then they did accept it. Oh my God. Whoa, hold on a second. Debtor's exact full legal name, organization name, American Express National Bank. Individual's last name would be Squeary. First name would be Steve. That's the CEO or CFO, whoever you want here. Mailing address, city, state, postal, zip code. Type of organization, jurisdiction of organization, organizational ID. Additional debtor's exact full legal name. Organization name, individuals. Additional. So this is additional. If you want to add an additional party. This is so easy to fill out. Look at this. Debtor's full name, number 2, you can just skip. Secured party's name. Oh my God. I never got into this. I just never could understand it. And I know 80 million people have sent me shit about this, and I just never felt like anyone knew what the hell it was. So I just never did anything with it. And I know that people have gone to jail for these things. These things are. This is the only thing I've ever talked about, by the way, guys, that I would be slightly careful. I'm not saying freak out. I'm not saying, oh my God, and everyone's going to get shot and go to jail. Like Christopher Hauser went to jail doing these, but he did it on like everyone and everything. The bailiff, the court clerk, the judge, like everyone under the sun, moon, and stars. And he was super, super angry and aggressive. And it was like the biggest no-no, like it would violate our covenant at the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition like 850 trillion times over. But I would definitely, this is the first thing I've ever shown you guys, and you guys know, and you guys can go through all the previous videos and everything. I may at some point in time have said be careful with certain things, but I can't think of anything now after everything I've learned that you really should be careful with. Everything is pretty much has never been an issue anywhere under any circumstances except this stuff. I would be sure you really know and you take the time to really educate yourself before you start using these. But I'm looking at this now, and now I'm starting to, for the first time ever, I'm starting to understand what these things are, and I'm starting to understand how simple they are, how easy they are, and how powerful they are. So the secured party's name would be your all caps name. This financing statement covers the following collateral. You would write mortgage promissory note, originally endorsed with blank endorsement, and then on blank date, comma, blank endorsement was later revoked for qualified / special endorsement payable to, all caps, Brandon Joe Williams, on blank date. And then you'd have the value of that particular note. And you can file this in for $5. I'm fucking dead. Oh, man, this video is going to bring the sauce, man. You guys thought video 1 and 2 were cool. Holy shit. Holy shit. Everyone's leaning the corporation. You don't lean, what the fuck? You don't lean the corporation. You're leaning the original mortgage documents. Well, you're leaning the corporation. But what in there are you leaning? You're leaning the original documents. Original collateral security entitled promissory note for mortgage, whatever the title is, and then you can put the loan number on there. You can put the serial number on there. You can put whatever information on there that you would need to put on there. So what is a UCC3 filing? It amends, terminates, transfers, or adds a party to a UCC1. Okay. So like when you get a car and it says lien holder on the title, they file the UCC1. If you pay it off, or if for some reason the lien changes, they file a UCC3 to update the previous UCC1. That's what I'm reading here. That's pretty simple. I hear a lot of people that are like, oh, the process is you file a UCC1 and then you file a UCC3. Well, hold on a second there, bucko. Why would you need to file a UCC3? If you file the UCC1 properly, you're done. Dude, $5 and 5 minutes of your time. It doesn't have the value in here. I mean, it just says covers the following collateral. That's it. That's all it says. All negotiable instruments on account number, blah, 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 since the inception of the account. We'll figure out the value later, I guess. I don't know. I don't know enough about this, but I'll tell you right now, what I've told you in this show is more than what I've ever heard. It's always been weird and confusing, and people tell me things about this, and I've always known, man. I've always known, like, I don't think people understand this. So here you go. This is a good example. You think Brandon knows everything? You think Brandon's got all the answers? Well, UCC1 and UCC3, Brandon, for the first time ever, finally has some understanding of what this is. Thanks to you guys for all your excitement for me doing this series. So thank you for that. Again, like I said, when I first started doing this, I was kind of pissed having to do it, but now I'm thrilled. Now I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm so excited. And in fact, the last few days I've been trying to get time to do this with you guys. Part 3, I've been trying to get time so desperately. I cleared my schedule today. I had some appointments, and I literally canceled them to get this video out to you guys, because I'm actually having a fucking blast with you guys. This is blowing my fucking skull clean off. Okay. So thank you to you as well for being such awesome listeners and for chiming in and for, I don't appreciate the mindless trash that some people send, but sometimes people do send me very interesting things that are actually aligned with or have something to do with a lot of this information that I do find fascinating. That is appreciated. It's okay to be learning. It's not okay to be an infant or person of unsound mind. Okay? Big difference between those two things. If you're learning, that's okay. Okay. Let's get back into this. Okay, this is the first video ever where I am going to say this is for educational purposes only. I've never said it. I hate it. I think anyone who uses that terminology is fucking retarded, except James C. Lovett. He's a genius. But the lean stuff, I'm telling you, if you're angry and you're pissed, don't do it. If you're not emotionally stable and you can't stabilize yourself emotionally, don't do it. Don't go anywhere near a UCC1. You're going to freak out. You're going to file a UCC1, God knows what, and then you're going to be calling me, and I'll be sipping whiskey, blocking your ass. I'm telling you right now. I don't care if you offer me I have people offer me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I tell them to go fuck themselves. Do you understand that? I don't work for anyone for money. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want to know, what are you doing and what's your idea and what have you done? And I want to see that you file documents, and I want to know about your family life and personal life and what's your goals and what are you trying to do and what's this and why are you doing this and where are you at and where are you at? I want to know it all. And then you're going to pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay? Just to be clear. Let's continue. I am pumped. Super pumped. Number 3, the instrument is issued or transferred as payment of or as security for an antecedent claim. That means a previous claim, by the way, against any person, whether or not the claim is true. Whether or not the claim is... Oh, I said true. It's due, D-U-E. I was like freaking out. Just if you issue it as performance, whether or not the claim is due. Because like we looked at, I think it was Section 1 or Section 2, that if it's due on a previous date, it can be paid prior to that date. Obviously, we know that. But it's good to see it in writing. It's like, oh, wow, this is where everything comes from. The whole goddamn world that we've been living in. This is the rule book. We're looking at the Monopoly game. You open it up, and there's a rule book inside there that no one ever reads. We're reading the Monopoly rule book of the Monopoly game. You see that? That's all we're doing here. People think I'm crazy. People think all this is horse shit. Keep paying your bills, bro. With fucking Federal Reserve notes. It's all right. Hey, we ain't sweating. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to tell you can't be in a voluntary servitude situation? Ain't nobody telling you that, brother. You keep on trucking there, brother. All power to you. Number 4, the instrument is issued or transferred in exchange for a negotiable instrument. The instrument is issued or transferred in exchange for the incurring of an irrevocable obligation to the third party by the person taking the instrument. Some kind of exchange involving taking on an irrevocable obligation. I don't know. Fine, whatever. I don't know. We looked at this before. Consideration means any consideration sufficient to support a simple contract. Consideration is defined by the individual. It's totally and utterly subjective. It's whatever you think. Check this out. This is what I'm always saying in about real estate taxes. The drawer or maker of an instrument has a defense if the instrument is issued without consideration. But when I read this, what I think of is like you get a bill, an unconditional order to pay, and that there's no consideration, so you have defense. That's what I think of when I read this. But then I reread it, and I was like, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. We're gonna skip that part. I'm not totally sure how that works, but it's got something to do with that on the drawer or maker end of things. If an instrument is issued for a promise of performance, the issuer has a defense to the extent performance of the promise is due and the promise has not been performed. Yeah, okay, that's duh. You know, you promise you're going to be there, you didn't get there. So that's what the courts do with the tickets. If you don't show up on court at that time, they have a defense to the extent of the promise. Unless you sign it without recourse. Then you never need to show up. You don't need to perform. It doesn't mean shit, and there's nothing they can do about it. There's no recourse. Overdue instrument. An instrument payable on demand becomes overdue at the earliest of the available times on the day after the day demand for the payment is duly made. If the instrument is a check, 90 days after its date, or if the instrument is not a check, when the instrument has been outstanding for a period of time after its date, which is unreasonably long under the circumstances of the particular case in light of the nature of the instrument and usage of the trade. Okay, fine. With respect to an instrument payable at a definitive time, the following rules apply. If the principal is payable in installments and a due date has not been accelerated, an acceleration clause in a loan agreement allows a lender to demand immediate repayment of a loan if the borrower doesn't meet certain conditions. This is what they're doing with everybody who's sending in the coupons and stuff. They're saying, oh, you violated our blah, 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 and now everything's due right now. Hopefully they sue you. Tell them. Dear Lord, Capital One, I sure hope you sue me, because then you got to pay the $405 filing fee and the $80 servicing fee, and I'm going to counterclaim inside that lawsuit for free. You ain't got no money. That's a great way to go. Goad them into suing you, and then when they sue you, you can counterclaim. As far as I know, we're just now doing our first counterclaim, so I'm learning it, but as far as I know, you don't pay any fees, you don't pay servicing fees, nothing. Counterclaim is totally free. So goad them into suing you. Genius move. Absolutely fucking brilliant move. If you don't have any fucking money at all and you're sleeping on a couch, hey guys, if you want to serve me documents, I'm at this address, and I'm at this address during the day when I'm working. I'm at this address in the evening. If I'm out drinking, I'm at this address, and I'm also at this address when I'm at home. Please serve me as soon as possible. I'm very excited to take possession and accept the servicing of the documentation. Now, you can sue them too. You can do in propria pauperis, in the matter of a pauper. It's like a petition that you're filing. You have your whole suit, you have all your good stuff, and then you file a little petition at the beginning of it. I don't really know exactly how it all works. This allows a poor person to bring a suit without incurring the costs of the suit. It's under subject to the discretion of the court. I'm giving you all the options. I want to explain things up front. If you do stupid horse shit and you don't listen to what I have to say, and you just complain and just come up with excuses and become a victim, I am going to enjoy blocking you. It's going to be a delicious, borderline sexual experience for me. So I just want to be honest with you that that's what's going to happen. So now it's in your court. The ball's in your court. So let's get back into this. If the principal is payable in installments and a due date has not been accelerated, so there are certain conditions that would accelerate the payment or whatever, okay, or performance, okay. The instrument becomes overdue upon default under the instrument for non-payment of an installment, and the instrument remains overdue until the default is cured. This looks interesting. Let's take a look at this one. So if you have an installment performance contract, paying in installments or doing some kind of activity in installments, and there hasn't been some sort of accelerated thing in the contract that's been tripped, like a tripwire, the instrument becomes overdue upon default under the instrument for non-payment or non-performance of a single installment, and the instrument remains overdue, so it basically converts to overdue status until that default is cured. It's just a technical way of explaining what we already kind of see in real life. If the principal is not payable in installments and the due date has not been accelerated, the instrument becomes overdue on the day after the due date. Okay. If it's due by May 20th and it's the May 21st, it's overdue. That's simple. Okay. If it's been accelerated, it becomes overdue on the day after the accelerated due date. I mean, keep in mind, you can just write a due date. If you write out the actual number in words rather than numbers, then your handwritten words trump their handwritten numbers. You guys got to realize we are peeling back this onion to a point where this has just become a straight up fucking comedy show. And I hope you guys see that. Which is cool. It really takes, I mean, look at these things. You've been worshiping these things and trying to suck these things cock since the day you were born. And now you're starting to see. These things are hilarious. This is a literal clown car. This is a paper clown car.
It's time to rediscover the human soul. Not the mystical, the metaphysical, or the supernatural. We're talking about the source of your abilities, your motivation, your vitality. The thing that makes you, you. We're offered a dream of convenience, but what of self-fulfillment, happiness, peace of mind? No more speculating. No more of this or this, but this. It's time to find out for yourself, to look, to know. It's time to rediscover the human soul.
It's actually very freeing. It's very emotionally freeing. Okay? Life is not that serious, my friends. Okay. Unless the due date of principal has been accelerated, an instrument does not become overdue if there is default in payment of interest, but no default in payment of principal. Except as otherwise provided in this section, the right to enforce the obligation of a party to pay an instrument is subject to the following: defense of the obligor based on infancy of the obligor to the extent it is a defense to a simple contract, duress, lack of legal capacity or illegality of the transaction which under law nullifies the obligation of the obligor. This is what most people are trying to do. So it'd be the debtor would be the obligor. So this is what a lot of people are doing. They're saying, oh, well, because blah, 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 it now makes the original transaction illegal, right? And they try to get it dismissed, which is fucking dumb. I mean, it's not dumb. Take that back. It's just, why would you want it dismissed when you can claim it and then pull all of its value? Do you want to get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and get your house for free, or do you just want the free house? I mean, a lot of people go, well, Brandon, I'm pretty happy with just a free house. That's dumb. That you're going to let the bank steal $500,000 in negotiable instruments from you? What the hell? We're going to lose the country. If people don't start claiming what's theirs and taking what's theirs and stop letting theft happen. Oh, well, free house is good enough for me, Brandon. You know, you're better than a lot of the other people that are walking around that just don't care or don't know. But come on, dude. Come on. They're stealing. It's plain and simple. I'm not here for revenge. It's called justice for a reason. It's called equity for a reason. There's been an imbalance. The correct thing to do, whether you like it or not, take the emotions out of it, is to fix and balance an imbalance. If they stole 1.5 million from you and you get back 1 million, that's not fixing the imbalance. That is partially fixing an imbalance. Thus, that is partial justice or partial equity. That is not justice, and that is not equity. And if you think it is, you're better off than most, but you have a skewed mind and incorrect definitions. The definition of equity, the definition of justice is equilibrium. Not partial equilibrium, full equilibrium. Defense for an obligor, fraud that induced the obligor to sign the instrument with neither knowledge nor responsible opportunity to learn of its character or essential terms. Okay, boom, this is great. This is what we're suing on. Fraud that induced, persuading or influencing someone to do something. Bada bing, bada boom. Fraud that persuaded or influenced the person who promised to pay you to sign the instrument with neither knowledge nor reasonable opportunity to learn of its character or its essential terms. Now they're going to say, what are you talking about? We gave him the documents to take home, and he went home, and he was supposed to read them and come back. You're going to need a fight. You're going to need a fight for that. That's what I would do if I was on the other side of that table. That's exactly what I would say, just by the way. I mean, we didn't stop him from reading shit. But then you say the response to that would be, there's no information here. Even if I was going to go home and read this, which I have reviewed it since then, and there's nothing here about any of this. So you got to fight it. I mean, that's what litigation is. You got to fight the hell out of it. That's what it is. That's what you're doing. Okay? Discharge of the obligor in insolvency proceedings. If you file for bankruptcy, then you have a defense. Okay? This is all very useful for your litigation. Very, very useful. This is like right on the fucking money. Bam, boom, boom, boom. Right on the fucking currency. Boom. Right? Number 2. A defense of the obligor stated in another section of this article, or a defense of the obligor that would be available if the person entitled to enforce the instrument were enforcing a right to payment under a simple contract. Number 3. A claim in recoupment of the obligor against the original payee of the instrument if the claim arose from the transaction that gave rise to the instrument. But the claim of the obligor may be asserted against a transferee of the instrument only to reduce the amount owing on the instrument at the time the action is brought. I'm starting to get a little irritated, and this is going to take forever, and we still have a lot to go. So I'm going to start speeding this up. If I can't figure it out rapidly, then I'm just not going to figure it out. You guys can come in here and dig through all this shit. I don't know. I'm just trying to get the 101 level here. I'm just trying to get the simple stuff, the most daily, most noticeable, most applicable stuff kind of locked in, and then from there you guys can, because I'm just not gonna. The right of a holder in due course to, I mean, I've read this a million freaking times. Here I am, the millionth time realizing all these new things. In 6 months, I'm going to go through all this again, and it's going to be all new, and I'm going to have all new realizations. And there's a tremendous amount of philosophy here. You guys, a lot of people are like, oh, it's so complicated. I look at it as like, this is philosophy and spirituality, and my mind is getting fucking blown, and oh my God, like this is like the most freeing, most mind-blowing, most, like, you want to talk about self-improvement. I think the number one self-improvement book in the self-improvement aisle at Barnes & Noble should be Uniform Commercial Code Article 3. That's what I think. But then again, I'm just a dumb pickle, so fuck me, right? The right of the holder in due course to enforce the obligation of a party to pay the instrument is subject to defenses of the obligor stated in blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Fuck that one. Except as stated in subsection D, an action to enforce the obligation of a party to pay the instrument, the obligor may not assert against the person entitled to enforce the instrument a defense, claim in recoupment, or claim to the instrument of another person, but the other person's claim to the instrument may be asserted by the obligor if the other person is joined in the action and personally asserts the claim against the person entitled to enforce the instrument. An obligor is not obligated to pay the instrument if the person seeking enforcement of the instrument does not have rights of a holder in due course and the obligor proves that the instrument is a lost or stolen instrument. So this is like what I'm doing, this last part. You're not obligated to pay or perform if the person who on the other side of the table doesn't have the rights of a holder because it's stolen. And that's kind of basically what I'm trying to do, or what I am doing. It's already done. Sorry. I say trying to do, and then I say doing, but it's actually done is the correct term. I filed an ovation that was never rebutted, so it's already a done deal, which frankly, I'll probably, we'll see. We'll see. We got a lot of things in the works. We got a lot of things happening, man. I'm telling you, I've sleep over the past several days has been a bit tough. Ever since the dismissal of case 1, I rewrote case 2, 3, and 4, refiled it. With my clients, obviously, like I said before, my clients have read over everything. They had input on everything. They filed it on their own, but I did assist as counsel for all of that. I am performing my fiduciary duties as an attorney, in fact, very well, and I think my clients would agree with that as well. In an action to enforce the obligation of an accommodation party to pay an instrument, the accommodation party may assert against the person entitled to enforce the instrument any defense or claim in recoupment. Under subsection A, that the accommodated party could assert against the party entitled to enforce the instrument except the defenses of discharge. So they can sue or whatever unless there's like bankruptcy or infancy or lack of legal capacity, whatever. In a consumer transaction, which is primarily for personal, family, or household purposes. If law other than this article requires that an instrument include a statement to the effect that the rights of a holder or transferee are subject to a claim or defense that the issuer could assert against the original payee and the instrument does not include such a statement, 1, the instrument has the same effect as the instrument included in such a statement, the issuer may assert against the holder. Something about defense and litigation, I guess. I don't know. I'm not so sure it's terribly important for what we're trying to do. This section is subject to law other than this article that establishes a different rule for consumer transactions. That's interesting. This shows you even more that everything is either non-commercial or commercial, because it's saying that there's a different rule for non-commercial transactions or non-commerce centric in terms of its usage or however you want to say it, right? Pretty interesting. Claims to an instrument. A person taking an instrument other than a person having rights of a holder in due course is subject to a claim of a property or possessory right in the instrument or its proceeds, including a claim to rescind a negotiation and to recover the instrument or its proceeds. We now have seen 3 different areas in UCC 3 talking about rescission, rescinding negotiation, reacquiring, becoming a holder in due course through reacquiring an instrument, questioning the claiming of an instrument. All of this stuff that I'm telling you, this is the most, in my opinion, it's the most important stuff in UCC 3 because this is what we're doing in litigation. A person having the rights of a holder in due course takes free of the claim to the instrument. Okay? If you never claim it, then there's no justiciable controversy. Now we've pulled out the swords and the shields and we're going. Okay? Notice of breach of fiduciary duty. What's the definition of fiduciary? An agent, trustee, partner, corporate officer or director or other representative owing a fiduciary duty with respect to an instrument. Represented person means the principal, beneficiary, partnership, corporation, or other person to whom the duty stated in paragraph 1 is owed. Fiduciary means trustee. Represented person means beneficiary. But again, they can't use those terms, so they had to change them. If an instrument is taken from a fiduciary for payment or collection or for value, the taker has knowledge of the fiduciary status if 1, an instrument is taken from a fiduciary for payment or collection or for value. 2, the taker has knowledge of the fiduciary status of the fiduciary. And 3, the represented person makes a claim to the instrument or its proceeds. Interesting. I'm actually going to write this down. I need this for my novations. So, clarifying in your novations, who is the fiduciary and why, and then who is the represented person. And why. Oof, that's going to be powerful. You're setting them up by redefining the contract, setting them up for a breach of contract claim, cause of action. Brilliant. That just adds a lot of firepower to that particular cause of action. Breach of fiduciary duties and breach of contract, actually. And fraud, actually. So that's good to have those defined. I didn't fully understand those terms up until just now. It's good. Or, I mean, who knows if I fully understand them, but I'm a lot better understanding now. If 1, an instrument is taken from a fiduciary for payment or collection or for value. 2, the taker has knowledge of the fiduciary status of the fiduciary. And 3, the represented person or beneficiary makes a claim to the instrument or its proceeds on the basis that the transaction of the fiduciary is a breach of fiduciary duty. The following rules apply. What is this called? This is called notice of breach of fiduciary duty. Oh, duh. Okay, good. Yeah, notice of breach of fiduciary duty. So you can actually literally send them a notice of breach of fiduciary duty. So if they send you a bill of exchange and you receive it for delivery and you have knowledge of the fiduciary status of the fiduciary and the beneficiary makes a claim to the instrument on the basis that the transaction of the fiduciary is a breach of fiduciary duty, the following rules apply. Notice of breach of fiduciary duty by the fiduciary is notice of the claim of the represented person. In the case of an instrument payable to the represented person or the fiduciary as such, the taker has notice of the breach of fiduciary duty if the instrument is 1, taken in payment of or as security for a debt known by the taker to be the personal debt of the fiduciary. Taken in a transaction known by the taker to be for the personal benefit of the fiduciary. So they fucked up, they used it for themselves, or some kind of fucked up thing happened, or they deposited it into an account that they shouldn't have, or whatever. If it's made payable to the fiduciary personally, and the person and the beneficiary doesn't really know about it, I guess, that'd be bad. That'd be super bad. Yeah, so if the fiduciary fucks over the beneficiary, basically, it's basically everything here they're talking about is just they're defining trustee and beneficiary, and then they're saying how the trustee can fuck the beneficiary and how at that point there can be a notice of breach of fiduciary duty. You guys actually already know a lot about this, so we're going to skip that one. You can read that one, but that's proof of signatures and status as holder in due course. In an action with respect to an instrument, the authenticity of and authority to make each signature on the instrument is admitted unless specifically denied in the pleadings. If the validity of a signature is denied in the pleadings, the burden of establishing validity is on the person claiming validity, but the signature is presumed to be authentic and authorized unless the action is to enforce the liability of the purported signer and the signer is dead or incompetent. It's just talking about, like, is this signature real or not? And if it is, then like you have to prove that it is or something. If an action to enforce the instrument is brought against the person as the undisclosed principal of a person who signed the instrument as a party to the instrument, the plaintiff. Yeah, the plaintiff is burdened with the evidence if he's the one who makes the claim. Duh, like anybody else. Okay. That's like anything else in law. If you make the claim, you have to prove it, which is beautiful. When people make claims on you, you don't have to do shit. They're the ones who have to prove it. If the validity of signatures is admitted or proved and there is compliance, a plaintiff producing the instrument is entitled to payment if the plaintiff proves entitlement to enforce the instrument. Otherwise, a defendant proves a defense or claim in recoupment. If a defense or claim in recoupment is proved, the right to payment of the plaintiff is subject to the defense or claim, except to the extent the plaintiff proves that the plaintiff has rights of a holder in due course which are not subject to the defense or claim. Okay, so enforcement of lost, destroyed, or stolen instruments. So let's say you're suing them and they can't find it, which you see that actually on a lot of videos online. Produce the original note and we don't know where it's at. Okay, good. So this is important. Okay, good. A person not in possession of an instrument is entitled to enforce the instrument if the person seeking to enforce the instrument was entitled to enforce the instrument when loss of possession occurred, or has directly or indirectly acquired ownership of the instrument from a person who was entitled to enforce the instrument when loss of possession occurred. The loss of possession was not the result of a transfer by the person or a lawful seizure, and the person cannot reasonably obtain possession of the instrument because the instrument was destroyed, its whereabouts cannot be determined, or it is in the wrongful possession of an unknown person or a person that cannot be found or is not amenable to service of process, meaning they can't be served a summons. A person not in possession of an instrument is entitled to enforce the instrument if the person cannot reasonably obtain possession of the instrument. Whoa. Are you guys seeing what this fucking means? Oh my God. If you ask them for the original instrument and they can't find it, you are now the holder or the holder in due course of the instrument. Holy fuck my balls. If they can't find it, you now own it. Once you become the person entitled to enforce the instrument, now you can negotiate the instrument. Without recourse, pay to the order of Brandon Joe Williams in all caps by Brandon Joe Williams, attorney in fact. You just paid yourself the full value of the entire note. All right, I take it all back. You guys are amazing. I'm glad you're all fucking retarded. Then I had to do this for you. This is amazing. This is almost too easy. It's like taking candy from a baby. It's just candy. The definition of candy is trillions of dollars, trillions of Federal Reserve notes. The reason why I'm behaving this way and doing all the things that I'm doing and acting kind of weird in this video is because I'm trying to show you this is how I do my research. This is how I think. I'm giving you all my thoughts in real time. It's almost like you're a fly on the wall and I'm doing this with you guys. But knowing that you're there and needing to kind of like explain things in a certain way and running through the filter of like, okay, now I need to explain it to them is deepening the processes. The processing of the information is going through all these various computers and filters that it wouldn't normally go through, which is causing the information to be looked at over and over and over again from various angles, thus causing me to have a lot of additional realizations about the information that I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't teaching it to you, which is one of the reasons why I teach. I teach because I enjoy teaching you guys and I enjoy you guys learning, but there is a part of it that is very helpful for me as well. Okay.
Every day, millions of people ask, what is Scientology? Here's an idea. What if you just take a look?
See for yourself.
What if you see for yourself
No one else can see.
who we are,
No one else
what we believe,
see for yourself.
and what we stand for? Our doors are open
See for yourself.
to all people of all faiths in every corner of the world.
Just look inside. You will know it when you see with your own eyes.
So what is Scientology?
See for yourself.
Maybe it's time to look and decide for yourself.
If they can't find it, you won. And from what I've heard, they often can't find it. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Going to Discovery. Produce the note, sir. Oh, it can't. Oh, boy, that's just what a shame. Bank of America. What a shame. Boy. That's all right. I'll buy you a beer. Don't worry. A person seeking enforcement of an instrument under subsection A must prove the terms of the instrument and the person's right to enforce the instrument. Okay, so I already knew I was going to have to do this, but I made the claim that these are mine, and I'm going to be the one to prove the right to enforce the instrument. No problem. I'm ready to go. If that proof is made to the case as it applies seeking enforcement, section 3-308 applies to the case as if the person seeking enforcement had produced the instrument. The court may not enter judgment in favor of the person seeking enforcement unless it finds that the person required to pay the instrument is adequately protected against the loss that might occur by reason of a claim by another person to enforce the instrument. I'm not so sure. Like if a third party enters in the scene, the court has to make sure that... Oh, I think I understand this. It's sort of like when you do a trademark or anything like that, you know how you have to like publish in the paper that you have you're claiming this trademark, like the name or whatever, and then there's like 60 or 90 days where people can say like, oh no, that's actually mine. It's sort of like the same idea. If there's other people that may be kind of on the fringe and they might be people that could claim the instrument, then the court has to just notify those people or make sure that they are notified and let them know that they have 30 days or 60 days to claim the instrument, and if they don't, then that's it. That boat sails. Something like that is what I get from this. Okay? Adequate protection may be provided by any reasonable means. That makes sense. That makes sense. Because if you don't know that this is happening, and you don't know that you have a right to claim, then you should be informed. I did that on the first case, even though it ended up where those things, were conditional, which I agree with, anyways. Okay. Effect of instrument on obligation for which taken. Unless otherwise agreed, if a certified check, cashier's check, or teller's check is taken for an obligation, the obligation is discharged. To the same extent, discharge would result if an amount of money equal to the amount of the instrument were taken in payment of the instrument. It's an interesting sentence because the first thing I think of when I read this is, if I give you a check, the check is an unconditional order to pay. Even if there's no routing number or account number on the check at all, it's still a bill of exchange. Which I've been trying to wrap my head around that for a long time. I'm not 1,000% sure on how all that works. The obligation is discharged to the same extent discharge would result if an amount of money equal to the amount of the instrument were taken in payment of the obligation. Discharge of the obligation does not affect any liability that the obligor may have as an endorser of the instrument. I think that's what they're saying here. I'm not totally sure, which is pretty cool. If that's the case, then holy shit. Unless otherwise agreed and except as provided in subsection A, if a note or an uncertified check is taken for an obligation, the obligation is suspended to the same extent the obligation would be discharged if an amount of money equal to the amount of the instrument were taken and the following rules apply. Okay, this actually seems pretty fucking crazy. Let's really dig into this. Unless otherwise agreed and accept as provided, if a note or uncertified check is taken for an obligation, the obligation is suspended to the same extent the obligation would be discharged if an amount of money equal to the amount of the instrument were taken. And the following rules apply. When they say money, they're talking about gold and silver coins, because if you remember back in section 1, they said that UCC 3 is about negotiable instruments, not money. Remember that? So that's what they're referring to here. They're saying that it's as if it's discharged in the same way as if it was money, but it's not money. That's what they're saying here. It's kind of confusing. That's what they're saying here. In the case of an uncertified check, suspension of the obligation continues until dishonor of the check or until it is paid or certified. Payment or certification of the check results in discharge of the obligation to the extent of the amount of the check. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is like super powerful. Holy Jesus. So a check and a bill of exchange mean the same thing. So when you send them all of the orders to discharge the account and to change the endorsements and to do all these things, you're sending them an unconditional order to perform or pay. Until your orders, so suspension of the obligation continues until your original orders are either dishonored or paid and certified. Boy, my lawsuits are just about ready to have, we are going to go fucking ballistic. This video, for my clients that are watching this, I hope that you're getting some of the same ideas I'm getting. I'm not going to get into all your personal stuff because I keep my clients' situations personal as much as I can besides what's filed into the docket because that's all public. But boy, we are about ready to do some things that have never been seen on this planet, boys. I'm telling you right now. I know you're my clients. I know their minds. I know the way they think, and I know you guys are coming to you guys are thinking the same thing I'm thinking right now. I can tell already. Certified check versus cashier's check. What's a certified check? The issuing bank guarantees that there will be enough cash available in the holder's account when the recipient decides to use the check. Okay. So when you send in unconditional orders, the obligation is suspended. When you endorse an instrument and send it back, all obligation stops until the check is either dishonored or paid and certified. Bro, I mean, I just hope you guys realize what this means. I really do. I mean, I'm just like literally about ready to fucking cry, bro. This is so... Send it and forget it, bro. Your obligation is suspended until they prove dishonor. They have to prove it. Why is it dishonored? Why? It's not real. They send you these things. Oh, we're not going to accept that payment. It's not real. Why is it not real? Are you giving me a notice of dishonor? Why? Why are you dishonoring the instrument? Suspension of the obligation continues until you dishonor the check. Now, does that mean that, if they're the ones saying dishonor, they're the ones that have to prove it. Whoever states the claim has to prove it. Interesting. Oh, it's dishonored. Is that correct? Yes. Wonderful. So what's the proof of dishonor? Why is it dishonored? My obligation is suspended until you provide evidence to support your claim. Now wait a second. If it's certified, getting some ideas. Does a medallion stamp certify value of a negotiable instrument? Medallion, what is it? I've heard about this medallion thing for so long, and it's like the UCC one. I just thought everyone didn't know what they're talking about. So I've looked at it a little bit here and there. Couldn't really figure it out. So I haven't really dealt with it in a long time. So let's just take a look. Are you seeing what I'm seeing on the screen right now? You read this. I'm going to get some more whiskey. I'm not even going to edit this part of the video out because it just takes too long. You're going to have to I just need like a minute here. This is just read that. Get some ideas. I'll be right back if I don't fucking die getting over to the kitchen. So this, I'm starting to see why you're seeing less and less of these medallion signature things. I've been hearing about these things going away in a lot of the banks. I think I just figured out why. A medallion signature guarantee is a unique certification stamp that guarantees a signature and authenticates a transfer of securities. So it's basically a notarization of an endorsement. There was that section we saw earlier where they can say like, oh no, that endorsement's not real or whatever. So a medallion signature is basically like a notarization of an endorsement, and it also makes the check or bill of exchange certified. So if it's certified, it can't be dishonored. It is a physical impossibility. Payment or certification of the check results in discharge of the obligation to the extent of the amount of the check. Are you fucking kidding me right now? This is beyond infinite money. This is like guaranteed indefensible infinite money. This is like borderline, like you don't even need litigation and you can get this done. So Chase Bank does perform the Medallion Signature Guarantee Program. No longer offers Medallion Signature Guarantees through its public companies group. However, it does state in a letter of authorization that Medallion Signature Guarantee can be obtained from a bank or broker for transferring assets. Okay, let's try Bank of America. Yes, Bank of America offers it. I don't think, I've been hearing this shit for so long, and it just never made any sense to me. A medallion signature is a notarization. What's the definition of notarization? The verification of someone's identity and the witnessing of that verified identity is the one who actually physically signs the documents. That's the definition of a notary. So the definition of a medallion signature guarantee is verified identity by using some sort of state-issued ID. And then now that I've identified you are who you say you are, I am going to physically fucking watch you endorse this instrument. And then I'm going to put my medallion signature guarantee stating, I checked this guy out, I know exactly who he is, and I physically watched him endorse this negotiable instrument. It becomes a certified check. I'm like blasting out of this planet and like blasting out of my head and like blasting into the stratosphere right now. So I just need to, let's get through the rest of this. In the case of a note, suspension of the obligation continues until dishonor of the note or until it is paid. Payment of the note results in discharge of the obligation to the extent of the payment, except as provided in paragraph 4 if the check or note is dishonored and the obligee of the obligation for which the instrument was taken is the person entitled to enforce the instrument. The obligee may enforce either the instrument or the obligation. In the case of an instrument of a third person which is negotiated to the, I don't know. It says something about discharge, so I don't know. Read this yourself. If the person entitled to enforce the instrument taken for an obligation is a person other than the obligee. If the obligee is the person entitled to enforce the instrument but no longer has possession of it because it was lost, stolen, or destroyed, the obligation may not be enforced. I mean, they literally can't win, dude. Like, they're just like so fucked. If any defense attorney of any of my cases is watching this video, like, dude, you guys are so fucked. Like, you literally have a 0% survival rate at this point. Subsection C. If an instrument other than one described in subsection A or B is taken for an obligation, the effect is, I don't know. Okay, where are we at? 2 more. Accord in satisfaction by use of instrument, a person against whom a claim is asserted proves that 1, the person in good faith tendered an instrument to the claimant as full satisfaction of the claim. 2, the amount of the claim was unliquidated or subject to a bona fide dispute. And 3, the claimant obtained payment of the instrument. The following subsections apply. The claim is discharged if the person against whom the claim is asserted proves that the instrument or an accompanying written communication contained a conspicuous statement to the effect that the instrument was tendered at full satisfaction of the claim. This is sort of like 3-603 Part B. It's discharged if the person who asserted, who put forth the claim, easily seen or noticed, readily visible or observable, conspicuous, easily readable, easily understandable, easily noticeable, clear is the definition of conspicuous. The claimant sent a clear statement to the person against whom the claim is asserted that communications concerning disputed debts, including an instrument tendered as full satisfaction of a claim, are to be sent to a designated person, office space, and the instrument or accompanying communication was not received. So, if they never received it, it can't be discharged. Okay, fine. That's why you send it certified or registered with adult signature and signature confirmation, trademark, TM. It's worth the extra few bucks to make sure that you don't have this problem. They can't say it's not discharged if there's evidence that they received it, which again, acceptance is to find its delivery. It's all here, bro. It's all here. Bitch and moan. It's all here. You bitch and moan because that's your mindset, is to bitch and moan. You don't bitch and moan because of any real fucking external forces. You bitch and moan because you bitch and moan. That's why you bitch and moan. The claimant, whether or not an organization, proves that within 90 days of the payment of the instrument, the claimant tendered repayment of the amount of the instrument to the person against whom the claim is asserted. This paragraph does not apply if the claimant is an organization. A claim is discharged if the person against whom the claim is asserted proves that within a reasonable time before collection of the instrument was initiated, the claimant or an agent of the claimant having direct responsibility with respect to the disputed obligation knew that the instrument was tendered in full satisfaction of the claim. If they know that it's discharged, then it's discharged. If it's in full satisfaction of the claim, then it's discharged, which is what we're doing, so it's discharged. End of story. 3-312. Lost, destroyed, or stolen cashier's checks, teller's checks, or certified checks. If they lose it, they need to write a declaration of loss. It's got to be under penalty of perjury, which is up to 1 year in prison. I'd love them to do that with me. I'll put them all in prison. Keep in mind, a check is a bill of exchange, so this is a bit important, I guess. I don't know. You guys read this last one. I've lost steam, bro. I'm sorry. These people don't stand a chance. These defense attorneys, oh my God, they don't. They just don't. You could take every top tier bar card in New York City and pay them all $2,500 an hour, and there could be 400 of them lined up. And I could be in a motorcycle accident, crippled, can barely talk, drunk, on morphine, and I could be wheeled in on a stretcher, and there is a 0% chance that they are going to win. I will see you guys later.